going, that is the best advice and best training anybody could have. I'm being trained by Jackie Chan. Maybe he took a couple lessons, but he was doubled almost in every scene. But because he was doubled so well, people think he's the best. He could beat all of us. And Chuck Norris and I had the same problem. He told me this.
Mr. Keith Vitali, so happy to have you here.
I'm very excited to be a guest at your upcoming event and really get a chance to meet you and talk with you now.
Oh, thank you. We actually met once, very briefly, 2018 US Open. I don't know if you remember that, but I just bumped into you going through the hallways, and I was like, oh, I know this gentleman. And you were so friendly. I was really pleased. Took a picture with you.
That's good.
Do you come often to these kind of tournaments, or?
No, I very seldom. I do. Sometimes I'm invited, and I'll go when somebody says, "Please, Keith, come." They haven't seen you in a while, and I'll go out there. I went to U.S. Open. I remember taking a photograph with you. I believe I still have that photograph.
Oh, really?
And then, yeah. And then too, I'll go like to the bottom of Atlanta. I'll go to some events in California, San Francisco, different places. But, I have a podcast myself, and it's been my objective, my goal to really promote martial artists, martial arts film stars, stuntmen, women and men. And so I really enjoy what I'm doing right now. I have access to most of the Hollywood big stars and interviewed many of them already, like Scott Adkins and you name them, all the big ones.
Oh,
the entire troupe that went to the movie Black Creek, I had interviewed all of them way before Black Creek. And they're all good friends of mine. We grew up together. Some of us competed together in martial arts. And then after we competed, we broke into films, and then now I've worked with most of them already.
Let's take at the tournaments or the sports career. That's where your journey in martial arts began, so to say, right? So you were a very successful athlete, but you didn't start with martial arts, right?
No, I had a scholarship to college, a university, for running track. I was a track runner and distance running. And so it gave me an advantage in the sport of martial arts. Just imagine, I had very strong legs because I ran distance. Okay. And then two, I had good cardiovascular. I had good wind. I could fight forever. Whereas most people in tournaments and fighting, you fight 2-3 minutes, you get tired. Well, I was a distance runner. I could fight over and over and over. And that was an advantage because if you get somebody tired in a tournament and any kind of, I don't care if it's martial arts or boxing or whatever it might be, tennis, if they're tired, they can't perform. And, I was always performing, I thought, at my highest level because of my background. So the track background really gave me an advantage. And again, I have long legs and I'm a kicker, and then they have strong legs. So I entered the sport that it was made for me.
Wow. So when did it begin for you, this martial arts career?
Well, I was in college, and between universities, and I had a friend of mine introduced me to his karate instructor at the University of South Carolina. This is in the South in America. And I went to meet him. I was so excited about martial arts, seeing it for the very first time, that I went home that day, called my track coach at the university, canceled my scholarship, told him I wasn't going back to college. I was going to change colleges to South Carolina, which I did, and went into the admissions board, took my transcripts, got it admitted to the university, and then I started going to that university and started taking karate. I mean, that's how much. One day, it wasn't a week or a year. It wasn't movies. It was one day meeting my instructor, a Korean instructor named John Roper. And watching people kick. I loved the kicking and the punching. I had never seen it before, except on Kung Fu Theater on Saturdays or whatever. So I was so excited that I said, this is something I want to do. And fortunately, I made that decision because I had already a head start over everybody else, only because of my cardiovascular. I could fight all day long, and also I had strong legs. I just now had to be taught and I had a real strict instructor, brutal Korean instructor. Oh my goodness, he was hard on me. But because he was so hard on me on perfecting all my techniques, that it actually made me a very good technician. And then when you have a good technician in the ring, I don't care what sport it is, if you're a good technician and you apply speed and power to it, and you have any kind of method to your fighting, then you should do well.
I believe training in martial arts must have been very different back then, right? From what it is now.
Right. It was very brutal. It was very brutal because at first gear wasn't invented. So you're fighting without gear. You're fighting all weight classes. And believe it or not, they allowed sweeps, takedowns, kicks to the groin. And when you got them on the ground, you could fight for 3 seconds on the ground as well. You can just hit somebody for 3 seconds. So it was a tough way to make a living because I'm only right at 6 feet, 150 pounds at the time. I'm a little heavier now, 175. But at 150, 6 feet, I'm having to fight guys 250, 280 pounds with no gear. So I perfected something called a sidekick.
Oh, yeah.
And my sidekick could stop anybody, anything, any place. It could stop the rain. If you perfect a good sidekick, I don't care how good you are, how bad you think you are. If you get hit with a good, strong sidekick in the ribs, it'll stop you. And it gave me the time when I would fight, I could hit somebody larger than me and just stop them. And then I could regroup and do what I wanted to do.
So I will not ask you about your favorite martial arts technique. We already know that.
You got that right.
You displayed it many times over in your movies later on. But I will ask one more thing about the martial arts aspect or martial arts career. So you became multiple American champion and a world champion in karate or in point fighting or in...
Well, I did both, but get this. In our country at the time and around the world, when I competed, there was only one governing body. Right now, there might be 50 organizations and 50 world champions. Nobody knows who's the best or whatever. But during my era, there was only one world champion or one national champion, and everybody knew who they were. And Bill Wallace preceded me first, Superfoot. He was the world champion before me. And then for the next 3 years after him, I was. So I was the man to beat if you wanted to make a name. And what really created us as stars back then was we had magazine coverage. And all the magazines around the world would put us on the covers or do articles about us. And so when I'd go to Europe, people would know me sometimes who were already in martial arts and go, like in Italy. And they go, oh, you're Keith Vitali, I've got your cover. Now that's impossible. Nobody, because there's not even magazines doing that anymore. But during my era, I was on, multiple covers, 13 in 1 year or so. So I was on a lot of covers. Had a lot of stories written about me. I traveled everywhere because I believe that you shouldn't come to my state or my area to beat me. I should go find you. And I traveled everywhere. And I said, I'll fight you in your backyard. And that's what I did. I competed everywhere around the world as well. And I loved it. I went to South Africa and I went to South America. I loved doing it. And I couldn't have been successful without a good positive attitude, because I always thought I was going to win. But two, I knew my sidekick could stop anybody, which gave me an opportunity to do what I wanted to do with my legs.
Wow. Yeah, I love this. And also, I read somewhere about you that you, after you ended with your college years, you met anyone that is also a great figure in martial arts and in tournaments. And I mean, Mr. Joe Corley. What is your relationship with him?
Well, believe it or not, he only lives right now about 10 minutes from me.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I came out of college, and as I came out of the University of South Carolina, he was the person who hired me first. And he fortunately had this major tournament called the Bout of Atlanta. It was one of the 4 biggest tournaments in all of America. So working for him and being able to go to that, not only those tournament, but people all around the world would come to the Bout of Atlanta and come stay sometimes for a week and come over to my school. And I got an opportunity to train with all of them. So I mean, you name anybody during that era, they all came in and trained with me. And it was just a wonderful time. And then we had the magazines doing stories on us. It was just a wonderful, wonderful time. And you knew you had ratings. If you knew you did well, they're going to put you on a magazine cover. If you did well, they're going to do a story about you. If you did well, they're going to rate you. And it was so nice because I'd have people all over the world going, I dream of you at night, of beating you all the time. And I go, that's the best compliment you can give me. I love it. They say, oh, I have your posters on my wall at home. When I wake up, I think about how I'm going to destroy you. I go, I love that. Thank you so much. It's not going to happen, but I love that you think you're going to do it.
So when did the transition to movies happen and how?
Well, I knew this. It was planned. I was the number 1 fighter for 3 years and had the world champions. And so 3 years, I said, you know what the difference of being number 1 for 3 years and 4 years? Nobody cares. Nobody cares if it was 5 years. But if I lingered on and then became the 2nd best or the 5th best or the 10th best, people go, oh yeah, we used to beat him all the time. No, I wanted to go out on top. I still had 4, 5, 7, 10 good years left in me to compete. But I said, no, I'm making a sacrifice. I'm going to stop while I'm on top and let people remember me being the top fighter in the country. And guess what? It actually worked out because now nobody ever thinks of me as number 2 or 5 or 10. They'll go, oh yeah, Keith Vitali, the guy who was number 1 all those years. And then by doing that, I was on so many magazines that there was Canon Films in Los Angeles that did all these movies. Well, they were brand new at the time. And they went out and saw me on 2 magazine covers. And those 2 covers, they brought back to Menachem Golan, who was the president of Canon Films. And they said, we want this person to be in our next film, Revenge of the Ninja Revenge of the Ninja with who? Of Shokasugi. Yeah. And it just so happens that I'm so blessed, so fortunate, that first movie became a blockbuster all over the world. That movie opened up in theaters all over the world, not just America, all over the world. And it started the ninja craze. It had big premieres. I went to Hollywood, had premieres, when you do it was incredible. For martial arts back then, it was unheard of. So I was very fortunate. My first movie was one of the top 10 movies of the year for the United States and around the world. And so it was kind of nice. And then I died in that movie. So all these people, believe it or not, the ninja kills me. And the people remember my death scene more than they do any other of my scenes. And the way I look at it is I'm so honored because it's my first acting role. It probably wasn't any good at all. But the fact that people hated to see me die and were sad about it, upset about it, I said I must have connected with the audience in some capacity. Some way, because they didn't want to see me die. And if you don't like an actor, you hope that person dies. Go, please kill that guy off. But for some reason, even today, I'll meet people and they go, oh yes, when I was a kid, I saw your film. I was so sad when you got killed in that film. So I know I've reached people doing that ninja film. And then my second film, how blessed is this? I'm on all these covers. I break into films. My first film, Revenge of the Ninja, is a blockbuster. And then Jackie Chan calls up. Hey, how'd you like to be in my next film? And I went, I am living a blessed life. And then it became a major hit. And I remember one of my first things, I did the film in Spain with Benny Urquidez and came back and the movie opens up. And the first person who reached out to me was a guy named Keith Cook. And he called me and he said, Keith, I'm going to let you know I saw your film and I thought you were fantastic in it. And I had no idea. But my first compliment from that film was Keith Cook, who we're great friends until this day.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah. I still remember to this day that he, called me up to compliment me. And then Chuck Norris called me up. and complimented me about Revenge of the Ninja. So I had those are 2 good phone calls.
So we're talking about Wheels on Meals now, the movie, one of the best martial arts movies ever for me and for many people. So that was shot in Barcelona and Spain, right?
Right. Exactly.
You have like 2 fight scenes there, but the final one with UNPL and also the with Benny and against Jackie and on the streets of Barcelona. Those are like the 2 memorable scenes for me from that movie. Do you have any like backstories about that one, that shooting?
Yeah, plenty. It was a hard shoot because they don't have, that production company, Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan, they own it. They don't have scripts. So we never knew exactly what the scene would be. So we get on the set and then Jackie, now get this, the first time Jackie did this to me, I've done this before, so bear with me if you've heard this before, but I said, Jackie, we're getting ready to film. The set's packed. There's people there, all the actors, and there's buses of people from Japan that have been bussed in just to watch these scenes in Barcelona. And so we're getting ready. The cameras are set up. Sammo Hung is not only the actor and director, but he's also one of the stars, but he's behind the camera. And I went, Jackie, what are we going to do? I had no idea. We're getting ready to film, but nothing's been said yet. And Jackie goes, Keith, he says, I want you to stand up and throw me some kicks right now. And he stood there and I did some kicks. I spun, I kicked, I did my side kick and all my pretty stuff. And he sat there with his hands on his knees and went, I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm working out the beat of the film, the rhythm.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? He goes, imagine you take the 2 best fighters in the world, the film stars, you put them together, but there's no rhythm. There's no beat to their movements. Subconsciously, you're not going to like that fight scene, even though they're the 2 best in the world. He says, but what I do is I first create a beat, a rhythm, and then I'll apply our moves to it. I wanted to take out a pad and a pencil, take notes like I was in film school, going, that is the best advice and best training anybody could have. I'm being trained by Jackie Chan. Can you imagine that? How blessed is that? And then when we would do our fight sequences, people love them, but you're not even aware, but there's always a rhythm and a beat to all of our movements. And Jackie creates all that.
Yeah, that's how he does it. Yeah. Okay. So that was your second movie then, Wheels on Meals. And what was that? What happened then? You were a star already, right?
Yeah, well, I have a good friend of mine before we even started doing martial arts films together, but I have a friend of mine named Keith Strandberg, who now lives in Switzerland. And he's produced movies for Canon Films. And he works, with N.J. Ewing, and he's a big producer. But we were friends. We had worked on other products earlier together. And in the martial arts, I would demonstrate, it was called piezo film. It was an impact bag. I would hit the bag, it'd have an LCD readout, tell you your force, how strong it was. Keith was the writer for the company, and I was the martial artist who went around and demonstrated it. Mm-hmm. Then, so we were friends. We played all the sports together. We would visit. Then Keith calls me up and he says, I'm starting to work for a guy named NG. He says, let's start doing some movies together. So that's how I started working with my good friend Keith. He just stayed with me last week for a week. He just left my house, went back to Switzerland. So we're still good friends to this day. So we did a movie called No Retreat, No Surrender 3 with Lauren Avedon. And it became Blood Brothers, and it became a major hit around the world.
This is one of my favorite movies, really. Actually, I have it here in, and I don't know if you probably are aware of this, but it ran as the whole series as a Karate Tiger in Europe. Did you know that?
That's what I heard. Yeah, I heard that.
And so I was thinking, what connects all these movies? Because you have No Retreat, No Surrender with Kurt McKinney and with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Then you have the No Retreat, No Surrender, which was also ran out as Karate Tiger 2 in Europe with Lauren Avedon. And then it's the third installment with you and Lauren. And then is the fourth one, which is... there it splits because it's in Germany. It's I think it's number 5 of the series. In my country, it's number 4, The King of the Kickboxers, and all these 4 movies are written by Keith Strandberg.
Keith Strandberg. He's very talented, isn't he? And here's what he would do. He first wrote, I think, No Retreat, No Surrender. First one, Kurt McKinney and Van Damme. But he didn't have control of the production because he was just a writer. And the director sometimes would change his script and change his scenes, and he didn't like that. So what he did was on the next movie, No Retreat, Surrender 2, he told NG, he says, I'll write your next movie, but I want to also be a producer. So he would have the power to tell the director, no, you're not going to do it that way. No, you're not going to cut my scene or whatever. So a lot of writers do this. A lot of writers become producers to protect their work. Because a director will take a screenplay and then modify it, cut it, do anything they want. But Keith wanted to make sure his quality stayed on film. And that's why he became now all of his films. He produces all of his films. He writes and produces. Because when a director comes to him going, no, Keith, I think this guy should say this. Keith goes, no, I know what I'm doing. There's a reason why he's got to be weak at the beginning of the film because he's going to transition to be strong at the end, that kind of thing. And Keith goes, no. So he knows the rhythm of the film and he wanted to be able to protect it.
Well, you just explained why Blood Brothers, No Retreat, No Surrender 3 is so good. Right. Because even though the movie is, I assume, or was pretty low budget, it is still it works so well, and I loved your performances with Lauren Avedon and even the fight scenes.
Yeah, we had Tony Leung, from Hong Kong, as not only the director but also the fight coordinator, and he was phenomenal. And all of these guys have worked with Jackie Chan and his crews before as well, so they're all interconnected. So we have that same rhythm and that same speed and power, and it was phenomenal. What I liked about No Retreat, Surrender 3 over a lot of my films is the buddy film. It was the brothers, and the brother concept is very popular around the world. People like to see good friends or brothers together. And Lauren and I were still. Lauren stayed with me last year too, and I went to Clearwater, Florida to visit him. But him and his wife came and stayed with me as well. But people today still talk about Lauren and I together and would love to see other films with Lauren and I because they like that brother concept.
Definitely. And I saw on your social media that you sometimes you meet up in Florida or like you said at your house, which is great even after all these years. Like I said, I love the movie. I still love it. I still watch it from now and then. No Retreat, No Surrender.
That last fight scene was dynamic, wasn't it?
Well, that's what I was wondering about, because those two bad guys, there was Mark Russo and the guy playing Franco. I'm sorry, I don't remember his name anymore, but they were the martial artists. Because Mark Russo, I saw him in some small roles, I believe so, but I was trying to find any information about these two gentlemen and martial arts related, and I couldn't find anything.
Well, here's the thing. Ryan Hunter played the bad guy. And Ryan Hunter, I'm not even sure I don't think he even had a martial arts background. I know he didn't have a martial arts background. Maybe he took a couple lessons, but he was doubled almost in every scene.
Oh.
Here's the thing that upset Lauren and I tell Keith this all the time. Keith and I just talked about this last week. And I go, Keith, you made a movie where Lauren and I had a hard time beating up an old man. He's an old man. And then he goes, yes, Keith, because you're thinking of yourself. I'm thinking of the script of the movie. the concept that this guy's so powerful defeats two of you guys. And I went, screw your movie. I'm thinking of Lauren and myself. We wish we could beat that old man up. And here's the thing. He has millions of followers. He doesn't even know martial arts. But because he was doubled so well, people think he's the best. He could beat all of us. It isn't. And I didn't even get along with him because he was a method actor. He walked on the set, and I'm nice to everybody. I don't care. Jackie Chan, whomever, hey, I'm Keith. He goes, I don't want to get to know you because I'm the bad guy. And I went, it's called acting. No, I don't want to hang out with you. I don't want to get to know you. I just want to hate you. Wow, that's first date.
Wow.
So you can imagine the enjoyment I had filming with this guy every day.
Yeah, I mean, the final scene, it's like 5 minutes long and it's packed with action. Yeah. It's crazy. And well, obviously I noticed that the guy has been doubled, but I still thought he can do something. He can pull off some moves.
Yeah, he could do basic stances and basic looks and basic hand movements. But then there's close-ups, all the close-ups. We would shoot during the day and close-ups at night and inserts. They call them inserts. Mm-hmm. And then you're tired. You've been filming for 10, 12 hours. Your body hurts. And you want to go home. And then, I know, no, we got to do inserts. And they'll do inserts. And they'll do things like this, believe it or not. And Tony Leung was famous for this. We had to be able to take kicks to our face. Well, you can't do that, of course. But he wanted slow motions, or he wanted to see that we're being hit. So he'd have a stunt guys put a sock on their hand and put the shoe on their hand. And then they would put some powder on the shoe. And then you would stand there, and then they go, okay, Keith, you get ready to be hit. And they go, everybody ready? All right, camera ready? Action. Boom. And then he would slap me in the face, but it looks like the kick hit me. So they do the spin, they cut to the kick, hitting me, and that's how they did it. So during the night, we did all the inserts. And inserts, you're tired, please. But they want to get the little shots, and they would edit those little shots in.
I've heard about the trick with the hand and sock, but to hear that from you as a different perspective, of course. Okay, so that was No Retreat, No Surrender 3. What was the next one for you?
Well, I'm not sure if it was. I think it was American Kickboxer. I did in South Africa, and it was a very exciting film because it was different. It was a kickboxing film. Mm-hmm. And I only played the best friend of John Barrett, who was a star. And Brad Morris was from South Africa, and he was playing the villain. And I'm the go-between both of them. And what happened during the middle of the production, well, not in the middle, first 2 weeks, is Anat Singh owns Distant Horizon, who was the owner of the film, American Kickboxer 1. And he calls me up. He says, Keith, I'm not happy with the fight scenes the first 2 weeks because they were in the ring. And I'm just an actor. He says, would you mind taking over the fight choreography? And I went, oh, you want me to? He said, yes, I want you to choreograph the fight scenes. Because I had worked with Jackie Chan and all these other people. I said, okay, I can do it. But now I got to convince John Barrett from Los Angeles, because he was doing the fight choreography, and say, I'm taking over your role. And he wasn't happy about that. And so I said, John, I know you're not happy, but it is what it is. And Frans Snell was the director at the time, and Frans and John didn't get along at all. So Frans was so happy to see me take over. And then I would take over and choreograph the scenes. And it was different because a boxing scene in a ring is different than an action scene in a warehouse or something. So I did that, and it came out pretty good. The film actually did very well. Actually got a domestic release. It was played in theaters around the world too. So I was happy, and I get credit for the fight choreography for that. So it was, in shooting in South Africa was quite an experience at the same time. And John and I are very good friends to this day.
That's an interesting story. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine taking the role away, fight coordinator away from somebody, giving it to me. He wasn't happy about it. But I'm a fighter. He's an actor. So not much you can do about that, because I'm an actual real fighter. Not just an actor breaking into films. I'm a fighter breaking into acting. And that was the difference. And it was hard for me because act like a movie star like Jackie Chan is an actor doing martial arts. He was in that Peking school where they taught him how to paint and dance and everything. He could do it all. But he's an actor doing martial artist, and he's phenomenal. Whereas Benny Urquidez and myself, we're fighters. Then we got the opportunity to break into films. And Chuck Norris and I had the same problem. He told me this. When we fight, you do not project emotion. When you fight, you keep that in. Because imagine somebody hits you with a kick or a punch. You don't go, hurt. You don't show that, as weakness. You just brush it off and you keep fighting. That's my mentality for all the years I competed. So now you flip me over and now I'm in a ring. I'm fighting on a set and somebody hits me. I have to project that emotion. And it was very difficult. So Jackie Chan and Sho Kosugi would go, Keith, open your eyes. And I really had to work on projecting with my face because you tell the story of the fight scene with your facial expressions. And so if somebody hits you and just do this, there's no story to it. So you have to really show emotion. Totally different, opposite than real martial arts. You also have to telegraph your techniques versus just quick techniques. So everything has to be relearned, and I had to learn it all. But guess what? Look at my masters I had, Jackie Chan. That's not bad to teach me. So I was very fortunate.
Definitely. It's a whole another perspective, and you did well, very well.
Thank you.